Welcome to the Ready Yeti Podcast, where we help you discover innovative startups in the outdoor sport industry. Join us as we tell the story of brands who are paving the way for the future of outdoor sports. And here's your host, Josh Salvo.
Hey Ready Yeti Podcast listeners, do you love skiing, snowboarding, climbing, hiking, camping, surfing, kayaking, or mountain biking? Did you know that there are thousands of new outdoor sports startups launching each year with incredible stories and products that are revolutionizing their sports? At Ready Yeti, we are a community of outdoor sport enthusiasts that love discovering new brands and supporting the ones that make innovative, quality products and that have a drive to give back. At RYOutfitters.com, we give away products every 2 weeks from your soon-to-be favorite outdoor sports startups. Check out RYOutfitters.com and become a part of our daily growing outdoor sports community and be among the first to discover tomorrow's outdoor sport brands.
Hey Ready Yeti Podcast listeners, Matt here. And before we start this week's episode, I wanted to make a quick shout out to WildJunkie.com and ModernHiker.com, who are partnering with us during our Sackcloth and Ashes and Bradley Mountain giveaway. Both ModernHiker.com and WildJunket.com have shown us a ton of support in helping build awareness for startups like Sackcloth and Ashes and Bradley Mountain. If you want to check out some of the sites to help us make Ready Yeti happen, then definitely check out WildJunket.com and ModernHiker.com for all your travel and hiking fixes.
What is going on, Ready Yeti Podcast listeners? Josh Salvo here, your host, and on today's episode, I am chatting with the founder of Bradley Mountain, Tyler Axtell. And if you're not familiar with Bradley Mountain, they make handcrafted bags and lifestyle products in San Diego, California. Their products are pretty awesome, if I don't say so myself. One of the things that I think stands out is the leather work and sort of just the craftsmanship that goes into each product. And with that, Tyler, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
Hey Josh, yeah, how's it going?
It's going good. How's it going in San Diego?
It's great. I'm actually in the workshop now, so if you hear hammering and that kind of thing, the guys are making bags right now. So, sorry,
Nice.
the noise.
No worries at all. So, right off the bat, for the listener who may not be familiar with Bradley Mountain, what are you guys about? What do you offer, and how are you different than other brands in your market?
Yeah, I'd say that, the biggest things that stand out about us is that we design and create the products right here in-house in San Diego. And we build them around the kind of lifestyle that we live. So we really just started everything off with the passion of creating bags that we wanted, me specifically. And then beyond that, or with that, the brand exists now to activate people into their dream adventures and into starting businesses of their own. And so we try to make every interaction be an inspiring interaction, whether that's through the product or through people, meeting people or getting to show what we do here in the workshop.
That's really awesome. So how did you get into hand making bags and lifestyle products?
So I started out with no experience, like everyone does, and I was going to college, going down to Point Loma in San Diego, and I wanted a bag to take with me. That was I kind of had this like dream of a bag that I just thought would be fun to make, something that wouldn't be too baggy, wouldn't have too many excess features, something that would just be stripped down and exactly what I wanted. And I had no intention of taking it to market. So I asked my mom to help me out, and we made this bag together. Pretty much she just made it because she knew how to sew. And I kind of told her the style I wanted, and we pulled some like old belts together and got some canvas and made a bag. And then from there, I took it to school and walked around with it, and a lot of people on campus noticed it because it was different. And so really, the start was just a genuine love for just carrying something unique, something that I wasn't told to wear, something I wasn't kind of used to seeing, and by nature, that was an attractive thing to other people.
Without a doubt. So, with your background, what did you go to school for? And did you ever feel like you were going to try and start your own business?
Yeah, so I went to school for sociology, and I was studying kind of with the goal of being like a overseas aid worker or helping in some way. I didn't really have a direct plan, but I just wanted to help people and create something that, or not create, but I wanted to impact culture, I guess is the bottom line. And with that, I was kind of thinking like civil engineering or something, because I've always been good with my hands and designing or creating. So thinking like maybe I'll start with sociology, move into civil engineering. And as that kind of unfolded in my education, I just fell in love with making. I would go home after lectures and just kind of unwind by making stuff. And then through that, kind of, I was in these classes that were talking about like the corporation and how so much of our culture is comprised of this like generation that's given over all of our pride and on quality to other nations, and basically have outsourced everything with little care for the quality and the story behind it. And obviously that sounds obvious now, because I think the story is being told a lot better. But even 5 years ago, I think to me that was still pretty new. And so I was like, well, I'm making stuff in my garage, and then I'm hearing about how our world is so void of quality consumer goods that are actually like being built ethically. So that's sort of a long-winded way to say that sociology fed into the business and craft kind of inadvertently.
I think that's such an interesting journey. How did you? So you were spending a lot of time after school and in your free time, sort of building your skill or improving your skill. How did you, from that first bag that you made with your mom to where you are now, where you have a full line of some of the top quality products that you could possibly buy? How did you get from that point to where you are now?
Yeah, that's sort of the piece that is hard to explain, but the truth is that I've spent countless hours in my garage. I moved a few times, but just moving into new garages and just kind of figuring out little pieces at a time, sketching ideas, buying more leather, working multiple jobs, just really just grinding. And I think in terms of the skill and the design and the like creation of a full line, that came with testing out each product myself, and then kind of like asking the next question. Like, this bag works, but what else do I want to carry? What other needs do I have? And what can I build for that need? So it's all been like the line has evolved as my lifestyle has evolved. If you kind of like picture me at school and then like starting to travel more and starting to try things and meet people, and I think the line sort of grew with that journey. And then, I mean, obviously that the whole piece of like hiring staff and bringing people in is another, I guess that's another question, but
yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, is how did you take this and then bring on new people? Because I know you've got a team of about 6 of you. So did you bring on people who already had skill in making bags out of leather, or was it sort of a learning process?
It's been, I mean, surprisingly, I guess not, maybe it's not surprising, but there's not that many people I've met that know how to do this stuff. So there's a community of people out there to tap into, but I really didn't know too much. And so, I mean, just how I learned, slowly started bringing people in. My friend Andrew would come by and hang out while I was making stuff. And he's right over there now sewing, but he's like one of the first guys that came in and just started hanging out and slowly like learned the process together. And we've developed things. I remember one day we sat down and designed the Scout bag together. And that was like, it was really fun to bring someone else in on that design. And I was also living with a guy, TJ, who now is he's like my shop manager. And him and I were living together. He was actually working for another company, designing bags. And it was like this crazy coincidence that we were both passionate about designing and creating quality goods. And so slowly, just supporting what each other was up to, we kind of like merged, and he ended up jumping on board a while back. And it's really it's been a really organic thing. We've never really shot out like Bradley Mountain is hiring. I'm sure we'll do that someday, but there's always been people kind of at the door ready to jump on. And I think that's because we're really involved in our community, and we continue to expose ourselves to new groups of people, and usually like those people will reveal themselves ready to learn. So we train within, and we create our own process here. There's probably things we don't do that are traditional, but everything we do is tested with basically where do we want to get to? How can we design it to be durable and to get the product to where it needs to be? So we figured that out together.
That's really interesting. I think you brought up a good point of the sense of community and staying involved with your local community, and you'll find people who are interested. You'll attract them, and those are definitely the best kinds of people you want to have in your organization, that are around even when they're not employees and not just doing it for the paycheck. Mm-hmm. They actually care about what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
So like looking at your product line, specifically focusing on bags, because I feel like that's sort of your predominant product, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but who would you say is the ideal person that would benefit from one of your bags?
Yeah, I'd say the kind of late 20s or mid 20s person that really wants to start investing in their future, things that they're going to have for the next 20, 30 years. Kind of people that are ready to start an adventure in their life, and they're willing to be creative and a little bit different. And I think our bags are a great accessory to that kind of life, because they're built around minimalism and thoughtfulness, and they're for people who have, maybe one or two jackets and a couple pairs of boots maximum, and like they really think about where they're traveling, and they really focus on their friends and their community. And it may sound kind of like a stretch, but when you really sit down and look at it, the things we use are a reflection of who we are. And so, yeah, that would be my answer for that.
That's interesting. So you mentioned the fact that the bags last so long. What is it about the process in which you make them that makes them last so long?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is just using real leather. I think everyone loves the look, and that's great. But when you really get, it's so obvious to us here, because that's what we do. But there's so many people out there that have never really had a bag made with wax canvas and leather. They've never even touched one. And when they do, they can't believe the texture and the detail and the durability of it. And I think it's still this thing that people are used to buying things that look good, but they're not necessarily used to owning something that like breaks in and wears in and actually gets better as you use it. like kind of takes on a character of its own. So, I mean, we use hand set copper rivets to fashion the leather to the canvas. All of our rivets are leather backed. There's probably only a few listeners that even get what I'm talking about, but the whole way that we construct things are very intentional. We use like a heavier weight thread that's poly nylon coated or poly threaded. Sorry, polywoven, and that's stronger thread, and just everything that we choose to use is kind of with that end result of quality.
That's I think you don't realize it when you're buying something, but the quality material that goes into it is so important. And with you, I feel like it's definitely it's more transparent than a lot of brands that are out there. What would you say is something that might not be as well known about you, one of your products or your business that really differentiates you from other brands in your industry?
I think that what makes us stand out, or what maybe people don't know that's different about us, is that we really care about other people's journey. And as we grow as a brand, we want to start mobilizing that piece of us. So, I mean, the dream would be to send people on trips and to get people together and go on camping trips or go on excursions that create an environment for people to share stories and really like push each other. I think there's a lot of amazing brands out there that are doing something like it, but where we would be different is we really want to sit down with people and be there. And as our team grows, we're always going to be people that are bringing others in to talk and to make things together. And we always want to be transparent about what we do. And like one thing I do on my own is mentor a lot of other leather workers and people who are trying to start businesses of their own, which is probably, you don't probably get that from the average person, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think I feel like most entrepreneurs have that sort of drive to give back, or at least ones that have more of a social mission with their brand. A lot of the people that I interview on this podcast, all of them have sort of that thing that they're really passionate about, like Bob from Sackcloth and Ashes. Like hearing his story and hearing just how genuinely much he cares about helping those who are on the street. I think it's just you don't meet that many people like that, and being able to support brands that align with that and are focused on that and make that a priority outside of just making money, I think it's an important thing that people should try and support, even if the price tag is a little bit more, maybe, or maybe it's not. Whatever it is, I still think it should be an important aspect, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say along this journey? So you've been at this. You guys were started in 2012, and obviously you spent a little bit of time before that honing in your craft. Have you had any mentors along this journey that have gotten you to where you are now?
I have. There's a few people that kind of, I'd say I've had that role kind of split around between a few people, but one of the guys is Sam Larson, who owns a shop, actually the first shop to ever carry us. His shop's called Lone Flag up in Del Mar here in San Diego. And he's just super supportive. I was really new to the industry, and he's been doing sales and design for a long time. And so just hearing his thoughts and having him take a chance on me was really big, and really gave me a boost. And we had, we saw eye to eye on some stuff, but he also just really, I think he saw potential and he wanted to just encourage. So that was, just having someone encouraging has been cool. And just he knows a lot of people, and and then another guy, Ryan Sisson, owns Moniker, which is the building that I work out of. And we've met up a few times and talked about some of the growing pains of running our own business, and, where do you find funding and how do you manage staff, and just having someone there to bounce off of that is struggling with the same things and is farther along than me has been huge.
What is your commitment to sustainable manufacturing? I know you guys do everything, all the manufacturing in San Diego. Could you sort of walk us through how you have developed that process and kept sustainability in mind?
Yeah, I think, there's the basics, which is just, is the labor here putting people forward? Is it bringing life to those that are making the product, or is it taking from people? And obviously I'm not against overseas manufacturing. Actually, I think I think there's this bad connotation of like it's made in China,
right,
which for good reason, because we're used to these cheap products made by children, and that story has been told, and thankfully so, that there's been a pushback. I think keeping manufacturing in the US, obviously that's great for our economy, but I think a big piece is just that you can control the factors, and you're seeing it and you're aware of it. And I think there's probably really awesome factories all over the world that have amazing managers and amazing work environments, and you just got to find them. But for us, and the journey for me is, I love making stuff, and I love working hands-on with people and seeing every step and making sure everything is exactly how we want it. And more than designing bags, I think what my passion is raising up leaders and raising up people who have potential in themselves. And so getting to make everything here gives me that opportunity every day. And so my commitment for Bradley Mountain is to be a place that manufactures, and to build a community here that as we grow can be supportive of each other's ideas, and maybe even branch off and start things together. And that having an environment where you're present and you're seeing it creates a ton of opportunities for new ideas and new designs. And I think when you're blinded by your manufacturing and you're just outsourcing, you probably miss a lot of that story, and you miss getting to take part in just the integrity of the product.
Yeah. So you've definitely touched on this a bit so far. But what would you say is the overall culture that exists inside Bradley Mountain with your team of 6, and obviously your workshop and the sort of daily operation?
I'd say the culture we have here is quality, efficiency, and fun and encouragement. I think those, in short, are what we are about. We're always lifting each other up. We're always taking a minute to catch up. We're always we're in here really invested in each other's lives, and so the manufacturing is only a piece of what we attribute to working here. And there's a ton of pride all around in what we do. Everyone is a strong piece, and I think everyone owns it in their hearts. And when we go to trade shows or we go to events, everyone's diving in and just welcoming everyone around them. And so I think the overarching culture that we have created is friendship and genuine interest and inspiration in each other's lives.
Right. So what is an average day like for you at Bradley Mountain?
I'm stepping back more and more right now, so my days are changing. But all up until last year, I was working between like 40 and 60 hours a week, making bags, and riveting and sewing and cutting out leather. And as I've built a team, and they've just taken it on and are doing so well, now I'm able to work on marketing new products, working with awesome boutique shops to create an experience for people all over the country to experience our products. And so we're really kind of taking it forward, and I'm making that transition from a like a maker into a leader, which has been, it has its own journey of its own. Yeah.
That's so interesting. So I guess my question is, what would you say has been one of the hardest parts about building Bradley Mountain into what it is now?
Cash flow.
I feel like that's the number one answer.
Yeah. But besides that, I mean, that's an obvious one. But I think knowing our value. I think I'm a pretty like a humble person. Not in like a. I mean, I think I'm humble, but what I mean by that is like, I have a humble view of myself a lot of times. And I think learning, one of the hardest parts is just learning that I offer value. Like that my brand actually has value, and that I can bring something really awesome to the table. And it's taken me like a few years to really believe that. And I think on the outside, people are like, like, yeah, you guys are crushing it. But sometimes I still question that. And so I think a big piece is just having confidence in what I do, and like fully believing it and being willing to sell it. And because I do believe in it, but I don't know. It's hard to believe that other people see it the way I do. So I think like trusting that the product speaks for itself can be hard at times. And then right now the challenge is like transitioning into like an efficient business versus just working with my friends. I think growth always comes with risk, and like knowing where you're headed and being willing to make changes, even if it's uncomfortable or new for the culture that you have. And like, there's a ton of great management books out there that are helping me along the way, but just growing and adjusting to growth and preparing. I think the biggest thing that's been hard is, instead of being reactive to growth, like actually learning to be proactive to growth that you want to see, which usually leaves you a little bit kind of shorthanded if you start growing if you're expecting like a bunch of sales and they're not even coming in yet, but you're going to grow. Like, are you going to be someone that reacts, or are you going to be someone that is prepared for that? And I've been kind of learning that recently.
Well, what were some of the books that you've been reading that have been helping you with this?
Couple ones. The 4-Hour Workweek is
I love that one.
Amazing book. I think there's definitely, everyone takes what they think away from it, but the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is the one I'm in now. Legendary book. And then Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog, was really cool. Just hearing how he raised capital, and how he it didn't matter to him what the numbers were saying, as much as like what he knew he was building for the future. And I think that was just incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those are 3 great books, and we'll link them up in the show notes for listeners that want to check them out. But Tim Ferriss with the 4-Hour Workweek, that was the first real business book I ever read, like in my freshman and sophomore year of college, and it like blew my mind and opened me up to like a whole new world of like, whoa, like this is very interesting. I've never really been exposed to any of this. So what's the journey been like with growth from when you started in 2012 to where you are now? Did it start off slow? Has it been sort of pretty consistent with growth? How has that been?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people will ask, like, when was your big break? And we've had some awesome opportunities along the way, but to be honest, it's been a pretty steady ride. I think we always have grown faster than I was expecting because I've had low expectations on it. But the journey for us has been kind of this like steady upward growth in the last 5 years. And I really think the last year was our bigger, like, we definitely hit a steeper curve in our growth. And now that's sort of what's led me to really think like, okay, do I want to just keep growing slowly, or am I someone that wants to be, to be somewhere in a totally different realm in a few years? But the growth, just bootstrapping, is, to be honest, very tied to our cash. Just being a manufacturing company, there's just only so much you can make with the money that you have, and so I've had to be creative with like growing our social media reach and growing our awareness of people that have met us, and showing up in spots that are new and different, getting in front of different audiences. So I think, the beginning was very slow. It was just me making bags. And I remember the first time I released the Biographer was our first backpack, and it was sort of a reiteration of the first bag I made, but many iterations later. And I think I pre-ordered like 30 backpacks from this network that I had built over like 6 months, and I had built 30 people, 30 customers came together and pitched in. Basically, I was sitting in my garage just like working like crazy, and I think it took me like a month or two to finish them, and that that till now is something where we can make that in a week or less. And so having it's just been a story of like true what people imagine as the American dream. Like when people talk about that, just you buy a hide of leather, you make what you can, you sell it, and then you buy 2 hides of leather or whatever. So
yeah, no, you're so right. What would you say is one of your biggest fears, and how do you manage it with Proudly Mountain?
Yeah, that's good. I'd say that one of my biggest fears is missing a chance to inspire someone, missing a chance to provide like a quality experience. And I think those sound different, but they're really similar to me, because anytime that we ship a bag to someone and they're not impressed or they're not inspired, I think is missing out on an impact that we could have made. And I really believe strongly that the things that we carry and the things that we use every day play so much into the way we think. And I think every time, anytime I've ever let someone down or maybe like didn't exceed someone's expectations with my product or my interaction with them, that's been like the biggest pain for me to carry. Because I think that everywhere we go and everything we do can impact people greatly. So I think how I manage that is just being really, really meticulous about quality in the shop, and being very intentional with the way I talk and the way I listen. And I think those are very tied together.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it goes to show that you really actually care about what you're producing, and you want to make a positive impact on people when you're selling them a product, which I think is very important in any business, whether it's in the outdoor world or whatever.
Yeah.
What would you say have been some of the biggest mistakes that you've made since you've started till now?
I think going along the same lines, I mean, there were some moments in my career where I was looking at, cash is tight or time is really tight, and there's a subpar product sitting in my hands, and I'm trying to decide. I know it's subpar, and I'm trying to decide if I should send this out and finish the sale, or pull it and restart. And I'm proud to say that we are very hardcore about that now, but there's been times in my career where I've probably compromised more than I should have, and just once or twice. And I think those things really eat me up, because I feel like, kind of going back, I feel like I missed an opportunity to tell our story right. And I'd say those are definitely the biggest mistakes. And then, I mean, there's thousands of lessons that come with hiring people and having a shop, and like other things like companies ripping us off and copying our products, and just legal protection. And I mean, that could go on forever. I've made millions of mistakes.
Of course. What advice would you give to someone that wanted to start a business in the lifestyle or outdoor world, or even just a business in general?
Gosh, I would probably say that if you feel like you have something valuable, if you feel like you're starting with something, really believe in that, and really like mold it and test it, and like offer it to people that it can be tested to. And I don't think people should offer their dreams up too early. I think you need to develop them a little bit. But if you have something that can be a product or an idea that you want to take to market and you want to create, find the pride in it yourself. I think there's really smart people out there that can create money out of thin air, and they can come up with businesses, and I think that's fine. But my story, something I'm deeply connected with and passionate about, is now what I do for a living. And so my advice would be like, don't just look around and don't just make leather goods because it's cool, or like, and I'm not threatened by leather workers. It's just this idea that like, it's popular maybe. And there's a million industries where, something's popular, like doing a tech startup or making an app, or, you name it. But like, if you want to open a restaurant, think about the food, think about the experience, think about, what do you love when you go eat food? What do you love when you experience an atmosphere? And do that. Start there. I think people lose track too quickly what they're passionate about. And I think I see a lot of friends that they start off with an idea and they kind of lose it along the way. And then they never get started because there's no more passion in it. And I also think this is probably going to be an uncommon piece of advice, but I actually would say don't worry about perfection. I also see a lot of friends burn out because they're so scared to launch because it's not exactly where they wanted it to be. But the truth is, like, if you really have something good in you, if you really have like a good idea, you're never going to be satisfied. You're going to be your worst critic. And so, because you know where it needs to be in 5 years. And I think you got to give yourself a break and just get started. So letting yourself maybe bring out a product or bring out an experience that you think you can stand by it, but it's maybe not 100% there yet. And I think that's okay. And I think we live in a culture where there's like this idea of perfection, but there's not this idea, like we've lost this idea of kind of the like back and forth process of like creating and testing and re-evaluating.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if you've ever read the book Lean Startup.
I haven't, but I'll write it down.
Yeah, no, it's what you just said is exactly what that book is about. It's basically creating like a minimum viable product version of whatever it is that you're looking to create, like very bare bones, and then just get it out there and get people's feedback and sort of figure out what it is that they want you to change, improve, or whatever, and that will sort of validate whether or not what you're, the basic idea of whether it's a product, a service, whatever it is, you can validate it right there and not spend a ton of time and, like you're saying, wasting and burning yourself out trying to make it perfect, and then either just never making it to the point of selling it or getting to that point and realizing nobody necessarily wants the way you made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Which is such a valuable lesson. And when I was younger, I didn't know that, and I definitely pursued some ideas without getting that feedback, and always was obsessed with making it perfect, when in reality, sometimes getting it done is better than perfect, so that you can sort of progress, because you learn so much in that journey, and what you learn will give you the ability to make it even better than you could have if you didn't do it.
Yeah, and I think I do think there's something very special about keeping your idea close. I mean, if I listened to every person's feedback on my bags, they would be, they wouldn't be what they are today. And so I think you got to hold on to your thing, and then leave some room for a little bit of critique, or a little bit of just some love. Like, you just got to get people's hands on it and see what it does, and see what it opens up in people.
Of course. So you mentioned this a little bit with the fact that you guys are starting your first seed round to raise capital, but what's in store for the future in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
Our goal, we have a bunch of goals. One of them is getting our own retail shop where we can just offer hospitality and increase that place of kind of that interaction that we get to have once in a while, to get to have that every day with people, walking in, telling their story, meeting people who are doing, living out their dream, or maybe just starting to think about that. And so having a retail space, maybe combined with a coffee shop or something welcoming, that we can increase that interaction. I'd say that's the big one. And then hopefully someday being able to offer kind of a grand prize like trip to people, where they can kind of pick their adventure, and we sponsor it. So that would be like a dream as well. And then down the road we want to expand our product line, so there'll be some surprises there too.
That's super exciting. So what's the best part about running your own business?
The best part is, for me, is getting to work on many projects. I don't feel limited, like having a lifestyle company, especially. I'm just a nerd when it comes to gear and ideas. And so I get to sketch something out and then create it. And the distance between the sketch and the end product gets shorter and shorter as you build out your resources. And so like getting to create something, and then buy the equipment or whatever, train the people on it, or build the pattern and do it myself or whatever. And then shooting it and getting it up on the website and watching people buy it and use it. That whole journey is like the most exhilarating thing I've ever experienced, and I feel like I have this sort of like little machine that I get to do that and test things like all the time. So that's just my personal joy with it. And then the other piece is just getting to work with really cool people and knowing people. I think the workplace is such a sacred thing that like so many people just look at it as one facet of their life. And I think if you let yourself into it enough, like you can kind of merge things together. And granted, I get to work with a lot of my friends, so that makes it easy. But.
Yes, it does. That's really awesome. I can hear the excitement and passion in your voice when you talk about this. Which, like you said before, you got to have that passion. If you don't, you're gonna burn yourself out, and it's not gonna be the best that it possibly can be. And I really like what you guys are doing. I think it's definitely unique, and I know you were saying that in the last 5 years that it's become something a little bit more popular, but I think the quality and craftsmanship that you guys are offering is still pretty unique, and not that many brands are doing that. And I want to segue for a second to the fact that we're going to be doing a giveaway with you guys, and we're going to be giving away a day pack on ReadyEddy.com between if you're listening to this between February 7th and the 21st, you can head over and enter for your chance to win one of their backpacks. And with that, Tyler, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me. It was really cool to get to know you and hear your story. But what I want to ask you is, where can people get in contact with you, find out what's going on with Bradley Mountain, and keep up to date?
Yeah, I'd say the best way is to either sign up for our email list or follow us on Instagram. We usually keep people pretty informed on there, what's coming out soon. And then you guys can always hit us up on our contact info on the website, bradleymountain.com. If you have questions, Keaton is amazing, and he'll take good care of you.
Perfect. Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time. It was a blast.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Josh.
Hey, Ready Eddie podcast listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, then I would be incredibly appreciative if you could log on to iTunes and leave us a quick review. This really helps us get noticed by other podcast listeners like yourself. And if you know anyone that would benefit from this episode, then please share it along. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Ready Eddie podcast. I'll catch you next week.